Hello again, golf fanatics. Billy Ho back for another PGA course preview. DraftKings first look. We're completing the Hawaii two-step this week. Sony Open, hopping over to Honolulu to Wiley Country Club is going to be the host course. Some of us did. Shout out my dude Dave, the DFS chef, was talking about how he pivoted to Hideki Matsuyama over JT and cleaned it up this week on the Discord. Uh, did a good job by him. I, however, didn't. I didn't see Matsuyama coming as often as he does. I don't know how I overlooked him. I really uh, wasn't as dialed in. I guess being the first tournament of the year, it's a no cut. It's 60 players. It was just really hard to dial into with the last week of the NFL coming up and all that stuff. But he shot 35 under, breaking the low total record that Cam Smith set a couple years ago. But now, full field event, 36 hole cut. We're going to fly over the course. We're going to talk Fantasy National golf stats, DFS plays. We'll end the show with maybe a couple of options if your one and done starts this week. So make sure you're sub to the channel and you're smashing that like button. Also, support the channel by joining the DraftKings contest. The link is posted. So let's get into this golf course right away. We are looking at a very different course compared to Kapalua is Wiley. Traditional design, narrow fairways, narrower. I mean, they're not super narrow, but they are narrow. Accuracy is low, but there's good news, so stick around for that. Deep bunkers. The greens are basically pretty mundane. They're flat. They're Bermuda. They're about 7,000 square feet or so. They're about the easiest greens to putt on, flattest on tour. Course wise, too, one of the easiest walks, the opposite of last week, obviously, with being one of the toughest to walk. So this demands precision, strategic play. It's just you don't just sail it out there as far as you can hit it. There's a few water hazards around, strategically placed. Average winning score for the par 70 golf course is about 21 under. So, like I said, par 70, just a little over 7,000 yards. Bermuda grass fairways, the rough, don't even worry about it. They are Bermuda grass, but they've shaved them down, they've cut them down. So, missing the fairway is not a big deal here. It really caters to some of the longer hitters now that don't worry about running out of fairway. Like I said, Tiff Dwarf Bermuda runs a little bit slow, but it is a tough test for accuracy. But like I just mentioned, rough proximity is a challenge, but not as bad as it used to be because of the rough being a little less penal. But the fact is that hitting 80% of the fairways is not a prerequisite in winning the golf tournament. So as long as you can consistently hit approach shots, say from 125 to 175, a lot of wedges, a lot of just 8-9 irons, that kind of thing, that's going to make up about 70% of your approaches. Par five, birdie or better is crucial. I know people maybe just shy away from par five because there's only two on the golf course, but we have holes 9 and 18 where 40% of the under par scoring is where it comes from these two holes basically. So you really got to take advantage of them. High eagle rate on the one par five that's just a little over 500 yards, like 6-7%, which is insanely high. So no doubt, second shot golf course, obviously, but will be ultimately one with a very progressive putter. The flat greens, it's about 34 out of 38 ranked wise as far as the easiest to putt on all season. So, but I'll tell you this: if you do focus on Bermuda grass putters, here quick, we're over on Fantasy National now. But looking at the model, I'll show you a few things here in a second. But I wanted to cover the scorecard real quick as we recap on the course flyover. The first couple of holes, it is similar like last week. It starts you off with a couple of more difficult holes on the front nine, and it does a similar thing here. Like through the first six holes, you face the four of the five toughest golf holes on the course, all tough par fours, well into the 400 range, and then you have all par fours and a par three. You don't see a par five till the ninth hole, so you're pretty much if you get off to a bad start here, you're going to be struggling. the best opportunity. I mean, you got 176-yard par three. Par threes are so hard to birdie anyway, but a pretty nice 18% clip here. But here's where your gift is: 6.8% eagle rate on hole nine. Then you can kind of get on a roll. You can hit this par four and then make a few birdies in a row here. If you get off to a slower start, you got a pretty easy par four, 14th. There's one down here that I do believe is going to be a drivable somewhere. I can't recall which one it is. It's probably number 10, which is scheduled at 351, but they moved the tees around. So it might be a little bit drivable this time around. So be aware of that. You finish with the par five, obviously, with the 50% birdie rate. A couple of, but it's not a super easy golf course. It's just, you just really, really have to get after. Like you got two, four, six, eight par fives over the week to play. You probably need to be 7 to 10 under, somewhere in that range, to really take full advantage. I mean, 6 under, you probably get away with, but somewhere in that range. But now, this is what I wanted to show you. A couple of different routes to take here. Like I said, the Bermuda grass putting, I was going to put up, but now we're going to take a look at it. And as soon as I find Bermuda putting, there it is. And we will go 75 rounds. And here's putting. So here's your top 10. You got Monty, obviously, Ben Griffin. Interesting. Thomas Detry, another guy I'll have interest in. Andrew Putnam's a guy I waffle on. You can see he's not ranking out very well in the model. We'll get into that in a second. Mike Hughes, he never models well anyway, but you know how he does when he gets around the green. He can just really tear things up. Thornberry's only got 16 rounds, but a very good Bermuda putter. So Denny, obviously, McPutts. Then you got Harris English, Harry Hall, a few guys down. Billy Horschel, always a good one. And then Nico. That kind of rounds out about your top 15 or so. But then the other one I wanted to show you was par 70 scoring. This one here I find extremely interesting because when we rank this, it looks like your player pool. You got Hideki, Tom Kim at 9,800, Russell Henley, Keegan Bradley, Eric Cole, Daniel Berger, uh, Corey Connors, obviously going to be very popular this week. Second highest priced golfer, Ben Griffin, Tom Hoagie, Keith Mitchell, Bermuda Keith. He's been struggling with the putter for a long time, but the one place that he does better on, the easiest golf course on the planet to putt on, and Bermuda, which he thrives on putting. So Keith Mitchell is going to get some interest from me this week because I have a feeling he's going to be extremely low owned, and he's 7,300. I mean, the old Keith Mitchell, the one that was ball, he's still not that bad with the ball striking. So 7,300 is a bargain for him. Chris Kirk's a good deal too. See, all these guys rank very highly in the model for par 70s. Mav, winner of the RSM Classic. That's something I'll touch on a little bit later. So let's get off of par 70 and we're just going to go overall right here and we'll just go by salary. But then I forgot I always cover the tournament history, strokes gained wise. Russell Henley's your man there. Obviously, Hideki. They went 1-2 a couple of years ago in 2022. Hideki prevailing. Could be very similar to that this year. Henley was T4 last year. I think he kind of gagged it away. I thought he was going to win this last year. But he is a guy that I think finally got off the snide a while back and got that win that he was looking for. So he's a little bit more competitive and a little bit more clutch down the stretch. Great Bermuda putter, great ball striker, great iron player. All three of these guys. And then Kirk, he's the man. I mean, he's got a T2, a third, T18. Nick Taylor, way up here. Many people won't notice that, and I actually didn't think about it myself. But Nick Taylor, very good ball striker in his own right. So he might be a guy that goes overlooked in that $7,100 range. Cam Davis, I'm going to pass on. He can't even hit the right ball. If you missed it last week, he hit the wrong ball. I think he and Willie Z both maybe I don't know if it was on the same hole, but they both in the same round hit the wrong ball, which you never see professional golfers do on planet Earth, which is kind of crazy. And to see two do it in the same round, kind of crazy. Corey Connors, the guy I'll be kind of careful with. He's a guy, he's just going to be a lock button for the cut. Probably your first cash game play if you went that route. Siwoo loves this golf course. He won it in 2023. Keegan loves this golf course. He's knocking on the door or missing the cut every other year. You can see all these guys. Putnam is another guy that I'll have to come to terms with. But there's Keith Mitchell. So he still has good finishes here, misses a few cuts here and there. But these are some of the guys that you can kind of go down looking at course history. Uh, you can see JT Poston is another guy I like to play. But then you start going negative when you get down this far. So anyway, that was the beginning. So we're going to go through what I thought maybe each stat individually, and we'll go. Let's bump it up to last 24 rounds, so we're not going too far back, and then we're going to go. Let's do the last 6 months, just so we're not going. I mean, 6 months is pretty far back, but I still think that it can tie you in with recent form a little bit better than guys picking up stats from maybe last May or something stupid. So we'll just make sure our bases are covered here. So best ball striker, Lucas Glover, JJ Spawn. These are some names you know. Kurt Kitayama is kind of interesting here. He ranks fifth in the model. I'm going to check him to go back and look again. Kitayama is a struggle bus with the putter, though. That's one thing you have to be very careful of. You can see both these guys very highly ranked in the ball striking categories. I'm going to go ahead and star them up. I'm going to have a whole bunch of guys starred, and then I'll thin it out. But you can see Nick Hardy, Novak Nation. Novak's a great guy to play here. 20th in the model, 7,400, always reasonably owned and reasonably priced. Kuchar, I'm not sure if he's a guy I want to trust anymore, but he's a guy that can come out and just really whiff the cut or finish in the top 10. It depends on his mentality. If he's, maybe if he's coming into this season thinking, I'm finally up there in age. I need to start, playing my best golf, kind of like what Zach Johnson did. I'm sure he's in no danger of losing any kind of status on tour. But anyway, interesting that Joel Damon's up here. He barely made. You talk about struggle bus putter, 140, but he made it on the nose at the end of the fall. Very emotional time for him. He almost lost his tour card, but he got in on the bubble. So he needs to get his head out of his ass. He's the kind of guy that seems to trip and stumble his way through the tour all season, but then when he's got to get it done, he goes out and does it. Like he's that guy, I hate to say it, the dude that shows up for work. I think I've said this before. The guy that shows up to work every day and does just enough not to get fired. That's kind of what Joel Damon reminds me of. Ekro's a winner on tour. Some of these guys are interesting, but that's the model rank for ball striking. So we'll skip approach. I wanted par four scoring, very important. You can see Berger. Berger is a really big time par 70 dude. Glover, Mav, Bobby Mack's a guy. I'll start him to make him reasonable. Seamus Power, struggling right now. I'm not really sure. I'm going to star him, so I'll look at him. But then you got Gim, obviously. He's really good on these par fours. Grayson Sig is a guy that gets some play from time to time. Taylor Pendrith, number one in the model overall. So I'm going to check him off because he's really got good stats across the board altogether. So let's do, we'll split the difference and go DK points here because that kind of coincides. You can see Pendrith in the last 24 rounds. He is, let's see, make sure I'm not got anything in the last 6 months. So, okay. Pendrith, number one in DraftKings scoring. Eagles, too. That's clutch. So he'll probably be mildly popular. Oh, by the way, this MCM is my mixed condition model, and I left it the same because it's just got a bunch of Bermuda putting stats in it. So I'm just getting a little bit more putting going on there. I may make some adjustments later on in the week, but that's just kind of how I left it this time around. Harry Hall, I used last week. He played very well. Seamus, like I said, I don't know about. There's a bunch of guys here that you can go through and list. The one thing I did want to mention, and then let's see, Ops Gain. That's a one we can take a look at. And so you got Luke Clanton, who's getting a lot of buzz. Nico Hideki, Kitayama. So Kitayama, that Ops Gain, you can see how well he's ranking out. He's a guy that's been in some good form lately. So we'll see what his fall looked like. Fifth at the Zozo, ninth at the Shriners. Look at the approach game. That's solid. Black Desert. So just that's where he just really just hemorrhages is with the putter. You can see how bad that is. So if he's got Sony history here, we can find out. And I just wanted to see his Sony history and maybe a little putting. So he was close to even last time around. 3.8 is not good, but if he's around like this range, he's going to be a good play this week. So moving on, thinking about ownership, Hideki will be important, no doubt. Uh, he could run him right back, really. Now I tell you what, Hideki did gain about 10 strokes putting last week, and then I believe it was total of 15. 15 of his 17 strokes were gained around the green and putting. You can see that. So this could actually positively regress and get the same result. Like he might, I don't know if he'll just completely flip the putter, but if he does, he could have like a one of these ball striking rounds. I mean, if he's gaining this many strokes putting, he's obviously tearing shit up. And you don't have to be that. You can tell you don't really have to be all that great off the tee and on approach. Just get it done around the greens and putting. And he just didn't miss a beat there. So you can see he has these monster spike putting weeks. Uh, but what we're looking for is these spike putting or spike ball striking weeks like he does at the players. So if he gets this 10 strokes there instead of here, he's still going to be a good play. That was kind of what the point I was trying to make there. But anyway, we'll go on. 2.7 strokes last week, not very good. So my strategy this week is to keep a tight core. I wanted to mention the RSM Classic because these look like guys that I would want to play too. Maverick McNeely, the winner. Luke Clanton, Nico, Daniel Berger, JT Poston. All these guys play very well at the RSM, where you do need some strategy and some ball striking ability and timely putting, just kind of very similar. Lee Hodges, I don't think his form's there. Mackenzie Hughes gets it done. Michael Bjornson is going to be an up and coming golfer. This might be the year that you start seeing him on a regular basis, and then he starts cracking that 8K range. So we'll see what we got with him. But most of the guys past that aren't the guys. But you do have guys like Griffin and Cole and Eckroat on down there a little bit. But I just wanted to point that out. That is a nice comp. Fjord Bjornsson is a debutant, but I think he's going to be well. But I think let's go ahead and finish up with the DraftKings build. And the thing of it is, the first thing I wanted to try to do was build Hideki and Connors. Just go right up top and take the two most expensive guys. And I went ahead and found my lower price dudes, so I didn't have to think about it. But there's all kinds of guys down there. KH Lee, Lipsky. We'll go down here. Let's go take one more look at the model. That's what I wanted to do is salary, and then show you some guys way down here in the model. Detry always so evenly priced. Then you have Novak down here. See that low mid to low 7K range, very good. Glover, Mitchell, Gim, all those guys can play. Hadwin, stats don't look good. He had an off year last year, but looking to bounce back. There's Nick Taylor, a guy who could pop this week. You got Homeless Hubs, another guy that plays great golf. He's a guy I'll have to look in to see what kind of fit he is. Rico Hui, another guy. So I'm going to have about 35 guys when it's all said and done, and then I'll whittle them down. Like I said, I still want to keep a tight pool. So if I play like 15, 20 lineups this week, I'm going to have like maybe 20, 25 golfers at the most. So let's see, Taylor Moore. Tougher golf courses is where I like Taylor Moore. So not 100% sure there, but I'll take a look at him. Justin Lower, however you want to say it. I mean, EVR, great ball striker, but his driver, I would like him on a little bit more wide open courses. Pat Desire is definitely a guy I'll go back to. I played him last week. Norlander's another guy. Matty Schmid ranks sixth in the overall model. Look at all the top 15 rankings he's got. Take a look at him. Doesn't seem like he'd be a typical course fit. Uh, so but he is a pretty good putter, especially on Bermuda. So Shank, I mean, tons of guys down here if you want to go. Like I said, there's Lipsky, there's KH Lee, Sam Ryder's a guy. You could play William Wright Meow if you want to. Ben Coles, Ben Martin, Taylor Montgomery, Monty. There's Ben Martin, Bryce Garnett, great ball striker. That 108's deceiving. I'm going to look at his stats to see what we're working with, but I don't think there's anybody else I've checked off down here. But there's probably some few guys I've heard. Mao Matsuyama, Hideki's long lost sibling. But anyway, let's go ahead and finish this thing up and get out of here. So we decided on going Bjornsson, Glover, and Ben Martin. So we are going to go ahead and plug in Hideki and Connors. That leaves us with $8,100, which is nice because you can finish up. You've got your choice, dealer's choice. Sep, I always love to play Sep Straka. Uh, he's a guy that's interesting. Harry Hall, Billy Horschel, Chris Kirk, Mike Hughes, Harris English. Then you got Hoagie, McCarthy, all these guys, all the way down to Detry, Cole. Any one of them can fill out your lineup, and you can actually, you can go all the way down to Cole, and then you have $600 to improve somewhere else if you wanted to, but you don't have to. You could get you right up into another guy like Detry at 7,500 if you want to pass on Thor Bjornsson. But anyway, that's them. So let's go ahead and exit stage left on these two guys. And then let's go more of a balanced instruct. Let's fade the 10K range. Then we'll start with Henley. And then a guy, let's see. I mean, obviously Tom Kim. He's a guy that's kind of up in the air. I can't recall what kind of week he had last week. Uh, well, it doesn't have his result. Damn it. All right. Way to go, DraftKings. So let's just jump up here and run Tom Kim, see what happened to him. Now, if you do have Fantasy National, some of these stats I noticed that it was like RSM. The stats were all skewed, like they had negative 9 million strokes lost off the tee, but they finished in the top five. So I don't know. I would just ignore that if I was you. So you can see he's not been good uh, over the fall. Really not been good since the Genesis, the Travelers. So Tom Kim is a guy that's going to be a tough sell, isn't it? Missed the cut in his only appearance here. So, you definitely don't have to go Tom Kim. I'll go Keegan Bradley right here. Now you got 2,100. Let's keep the two low. Let's keep Glover and let's just swap out Ben Martin and see what we got. 8,400. Now you're into a really good balanced lineup here. So you got Harmon, Clanton, Harmon was terrible last week. Ben Griffin, I do like. Billy Horschel, I'd say is a fairly safe bet to make the cut. We'll show you what his stats look like right quick because I do want to see Billy Ho played overseas a little bit and been playing pretty well. So just very reasonably priced if I can find him. I believe he was 7,400, something like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and find Porsche. Goodness, 79. No wonder I couldn't find him. Sorry about that, folks. We're going to wrap things up here in a minute. Remember, subscribe to Billy Ho's channel. Give me a shout out there. We got 2,500 subscribers finally, which is nice. Great Bermuda putter, like I said, Billy Ho. So awful at the Century. He lost 5.3 strokes putting. You can see how bad his putter's been. I don't think he'll be that bad again. Uh, He's normally a great Bermuda putter, as you saw from his stats. He's had some really severe spike weeks here. So Billy Ho, I think, will be much better with an improved putter. Uh, so he don't have to make the DraftKings squad though if we don't want him to. Uh, Luke Clinton does seem kind of chalky to me, but I'll go on ownership here. Like I said, you could fill in with any of these guys. So we're going to wrap things up there. Thanks a lot for joining me. That's all I have today. I don't think there was anything that I mentioned. Oh, one and done. So, one and done. What are you going to do if this is your first week of one and done? Uh, you could take Hideki and play game theory, thinking that people won't play last week's winner. But if you don't take Hideki, then any of these other guys, I wouldn't worry about it. You're not going to lose it in the first week. Find a guy that's going to that with top 10 upside, like a Keegan Bradley. Uh, he does have more. He probably has better course fits or whatever. But somebody that has really good course history, Russell Henley would be a perfect guy to just get out of the way. He's a guy that's in relatively decent form that could play well here. Corey Connors, maybe you could use, but you want a guy that's going to get you at least six figures this week. That's what I would recommend. And you could punt with a guy like Pendrith. Not a bad idea there. Nobody's going to play him most likely. There's all kinds of ways you can go. But I just wanted to finish it up there. I wanted to mention one and done. I'll probably wait, join the Rick Run Good one. That one begins next month. So we'll do a lot more one and done content, but I will mention it in each video. So I appreciate you joining me. Thanks for watching. Share the word, smash the like on your way out, and we'll see you soon.